13 people fatally shot right now after a gunman fires inside a packed California bar. We also found out that 18 were hurt.
One of the victims, there's his picture, Ventura County Sheriff Sergeant Ron, is it Helus?
Helus.
He was a 29-year-old veteran of the force who was getting ready to retire. He was shot entering the building going in to save other people.
Been on the force for 29 years. Joining us from the scene is Sergeant Helus' colleague, Sergeant Julie Novak of the Ventura County Sheriff's Department. Sergeant, good morning.
Good morning.
We are so sorry for the loss of Sergeant Helus. Could you tell us a little bit about this man?
Ron was an amazing guy. He probably should have retired a couple years ago. He could have, but he stayed on because he loved the fight. He loved helping people. He loved protecting people. And he did exactly that tonight by running into this building to save people's lives where there was gunshots. And he's just nothing but a hero right now.
We have heard that the response time was just a few minutes. He was on the scene in no time. He had no idea what was going on inside that club, did he?
He had no idea. And the interesting thing is when you're a sergeant on patrol, you don't really get called to calls. But he was right here, and he responded immediately, along with two really brave CHP officers who were on a traffic stop. And they immediately, just let go of their traffic stop and came over to help and assist our department, which is amazing.
How did he get out of there? I heard he was hit multiple times, but you got him to a hospital. How did he get out?
Yeah, so when the CHP officers arrived, the three of them made entry, and of course Ron decided to take lead because that's who he is. So he entered the door first and immediately took gunfire. The two CHP officers, who were very brave, immediately grabbed onto him and performed an officer rescue and dragged him all the way out and got him onto the ambulance, where he was transported to the hospital and died.
The sheriff said that he, with tears in his eyes, he could barely get through that press conference this morning because he said they were really good friends, that they worked out together. He had to pick up the phone and call his wife and tell her that he's not coming home. And he said he has a son. Can you tell us a little bit about his family?
Ron's a family guy, and he loved his son and talked about him all the time and did stuff with him all the time. He's just overall a really great guy, and it's really sad.
It is terrible. It's a terrible loss for the Ventura County Sheriff's Department. Of course, Sergeant, right now we're trying to figure out what happened. What is the latest?
Investigators are still trying to piece all of this together. There is a lot to go through. I don't think people realize how important it is for them to take their time and meticulously go through to solve and try to figure out why this horrendous thing happened. And it's a hard, painful process, but it's one that we need to go through and be patient with. And, as soon as they get that information, they're going to release it. And I know people want to know, but it's important that we do our job right.
Sergeant, have they ID'd the shooter?
They have not released the identification of the shooter. There's a lot of things that need to get done in the investigation before that's going to happen.
But do you know who it is?
Do I know it? No, I don't.
So what's the next step? There's some reports about his mom's car. We don't know all the details right now. What's the next step? They trace the car back to the mom, and then they go to his house and they check computers and phones. What happens next?
Sure, yeah, it's going through the vehicles, it's going through his home, it's looking through his computers, his phone logs, trying to piece together the timeline of how this happened, why it happened, what's the motivation for it happening, and that takes a lot of investigation and follow-up.
Right. There are a number of stories out there, but you at this point are unable to confirm any of those. Sergeant Julie Novak, we thank you very much for joining us. And once again, we are so sorry for the loss there at the Ventura County Sheriff's Department.
Thank you so much.